welcome to the final session of the 10th RSPO Roundtable. And today, finally, we have all the bigwigs who are experts in sustainability in different sectors and commodities. You would remember those famous lines by President Kennedy in early 60s in his remarks to a White House dinner that was attended by every living American Nobel laureate. He said, "There has never been a greater concentration of intellectual power here at the White House since Thomas Jefferson was dining alone." So I don't want to stretch comparisons a bit too far, but just look at the panel. Today we have with us some of the best minds who are working in sustainability. And look at their range, not only palm oil, but also soybeans, marine and fisheries, forestry, and sugarcane. So be prepared to ask as many questions you want. We have a very simple format. There are no PowerPoint presentations which you have been fed with in the last 2 days in those clusters and other plenary sessions. We will be having a back and forth general informal discussions and how one sector can benefit from another. And I would briefly introduce you to all of them. We have the Asia Regional Director for Forest Stewardship Council, Mr. Alistair Monument, and we have Marine Stewardship Council, Director for Strategic Initiatives Office of the CEO, Mr. Brad Eck. Also we have with us Nick Goodall, the CEO for Bonsucro, and Augustine Mescatona is from the Roundtable of Responsible Soybean Association. He is the Executive Director. Lastly but not the least, the gentleman who doesn't need any introduction and he has been in so many panels, Mr. Daryl Weber, who is the Secretary General for Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil, RSPO. So I would like to start with Mr. Augustine Mescatona, because you have had so much of palm oil discussions. Let us discuss more about soybeans for the time being. If you could tell us about what have been the initiatives in the soybean sector and how much they have achieved and how much needs to be achieved and the challenges, then we can take it forward from there. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. Many thanks to RSPO for the invitation. It's great to be in such a great conference. Also, it's good to not having to prepare a PowerPoint, and I'm glad to answer these questions. We are kind of the youngest in this, also with Bonsucro, part of the youngest initiatives. And we started last year with the certification of soy. And this one is the second year of certification. We started with South American countries, Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, at the beginning of 2012 in India. And of course, we are copy-pasting many of the things from RSPO, trying to not repeat the bad things and try to copy and improve the good things. And soy, the main driver for soy is not the oil, like in palm, but the protein. So it has many similarities with palm, but many differences, not only in the production, but also in not only in the product, but also in the production ways and in the trading ways and many other things. So it's kind of huge challenge too, and I suppose that we will all fight against each other on who has the most difficult product, but I will be in the second or third position at least for sure.
Thanks, Augustine. Also, as I said, we have with us Alistair. Alistair's position, he is uniquely placed for the simple reason that his sustainability organization, the Stewardship Council, is the oldest amongst these five. They have been working on it since 1993, I think. So, RSPO now completes a decade or so, they complete 2 decades. So they are doubly experienced and they would be in a better position to tell RSPO what they can do. So I would suggest that Alistair also briefly introduces the kind of work they do.
Okay, thank you, Dal, and thank you for inviting us. So yeah, we've been around for 19 years now, but I think we're still learning as well. So I'm very keen to learn from RSPO and the other guys here about the new things that they're doing. We found that over the last 20 years or so, we've had to react and change on a regular basis, particularly as we've started to grow. And that growth and that success has brought challenges with it that we've had to deal with. We now have certificates in over 100 countries, 25,000 companies working with us, quite a big market presence in Europe and North America, and then a real growth now in Asia Pacific, where I'm based, not just in supply chain, but also in markets, and getting labels on products in the markets over here. So those challenges are different as we grow, and I think looking at the other schemes and learning from them is very important for us as well.
Thanks, Lester. And we have Nick. Nick is working on sugarcane, and they have recently, I think last year, they have had their first certification for sugarcane. So if you could also please tell us about what you want to do, and basically the audience will like to know from you how you want to take it forward, in the sense that RSPO has already certified millions of hectares, and that is something of a bar for sugarcane, and sugarcane is also a kind of a hot commodity. So if you could just enlighten the audience.
Thanks, Samir. I love the idea of being described as a hot commodity. That's my memory I'm going to take back from me from Singapore. Thank you for this opportunity to participate in this. When we met yesterday, we were comparing our stories and our commodities and realizing that we had a great deal in common. Our feedstocks, our commodities may be superficially very different, but the issues surrounding them, the needs to engage and the ways we do that are actually much more aligned than one might have first imagined. So there's a huge amount of mutual learning here. And I guess that's my invitation to you, is to ask us how we do certain things. Because nobody cannot learn. My father once said to me, never be the smartest person in the room, and I've managed to live up to that ever since. There's always people smarter than me in the room, so I'm probably going to learn more from you than you am from I. But just briefly on Bonsucro, I don't know, we might even be the kind of youngest at this table at the moment, though I'm not by a long way. But we've already achieved a remarkable 2.15% of the world under sugarcane being Bonsucro certified. And the reason we've done that, I think, is because we've benefited from what we've learned from our colleagues, that we've actually planned this quite well. That's not to say we don't have challenges. Of course, the rush to success means that some of the more difficult questions, and for us, it's how do we successfully engage with smallholders? I mean, truly successfully. And just by way of example about the differences and the commonalities between us, we define smallholders as people who have perhaps 0.2 hectares. So I don't know whether they're micro holders by palm standards, but we've got to reach countless tens of millions of smallholders in some countries. So that's for us the challenge ahead. We've also committed to reaching 20% in 5 years. So the race is on for sugarcane. Thanks for your attention.
Thanks, Nick. Now I would like to check with Brad, because marine fisheries, and it is so wide a subject that even maybe 1 or 30 minutes will not be enough for single discussion on marine and fisheries. Anyway, if you could tell us about your initiatives briefly, and then we can discuss it further. Just a brief introduction on your activities, because marine is slightly different in the sense that forestry overlaps with the palm oil or soybeans, but not exactly marine.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I was telling my fellow panelists, it's a pleasure to be on a stage and not be the center of attention or have your issue be the hot topic of the day. So we have nothing to do with deforestation. I'll just get that out right now. But the Marine Stewardship Council shares many of the exact same challenges that the rest of these enterprises face, setting a credible standard that is believable on an environmental side from the claim perspective. Is it really measuring sustainability? Having industry be able to meet that standard, finding a market that supports the industry that meets that standard and creates the pull for people to meet the standard, fielding a team of independent third-party certifiers that know how to interpret the standard and can do it credibly, avoiding conflict and controversy. So we all face these, and working with smallholders who may not have the data and the information and the management systems to meet those standards. I think we all share the same challenges in that regard and have a lot to learn from each other and with each other. The Marine Stewardship Council is about 14 years old now. We had a slow start and then a very, very steep curve of growth, and now we're leveling off and finding that we've reached almost probably as far as we will for a while into the fisheries that can meet our standard. And now we're looking at how we work with people on transitions toward the standard. How do we help people improve their production processes, their fisheries management processes in order to be able to get to the standard? I think that's another challenge that we all face amongst our group. So I'm real happy to be here and look forward to the conversation.